Welcome to Daryl's Little Corner. We'll be with you every Monday from 7 until 8. Tonight in the studio with me is Mr. Chris Marsalis. Uh, Chris, welcome to Daryl's Little Corner.
Thank you. Thanks for having me
I
on.
appreciate you coming. Uh, Chris, you're a man of many talents. People are saying, and who was he? They get the paper, they might not, but a lot of people don't.
Right,
A lot of
I
people
know.
don't. And they're saying, well, I know a lot of people, but I don't know any of them folks. Not from here, are you?
Not originally. I've been here since about 1989.
We got here quick as we could, didn't we?
Quick as we could.
Me too. Me
That's
too.
right.
All right, you're a man of many talents. You were with DixieNet, weren't you?
I was, yes. Worked with DixieNet from June of 1998 until I was elected mayor. And immediately after that happened, I saw that it was going to be a full-time pursuit
Yeah.
to try to keep up with everything that's going on in the city. And so I did resign my official position with DixieNet. I do remain available to them for consulting if there's anything that, obviously after I'd been there so long, there may be some things that, I would have the most knowledge about. So I'm available to help.
What did you do there?
I was vice president of operations and basically just managed the operation.
So who does it now?
Jerry Wyndham has picked up a lot of what I was doing, and he has divided out a lot of the other duties among the remaining staff at DixieNet.
How'd you get into that kind of work?
Well, when I was a teacher at Ripley High School back
You as a teacher?
Sure, I taught physics and biology and technology at Ripley High School. And in about 1993, the Math Science Complex got their first internet connection and first network inside the building. And we got new computers. And so I just really fell in love with the internet and all the possibilities and all the various things that we do now on the internet. And I knew that that was possible, and I was just fascinated with it. So I really just dived into it and got my mind all involved in it. And a couple of years after that, DixieNet had started services, and I made friends with the guys that were running it. Carl Bullock at the time was working there, and Jerry was working there, and took on some of the tech support responsibilities. They were needing help signing up new users. Back then, it was a lot more complicated than it is now. A lot more hands-on to get a computer to actually dial a modem and connect to the internet. And so it took a lot of tech support. All of these things which we take for granted now, we just kind of had to invent as we went along. And so I was working part-time in the evenings for DixieNet, and eventually it turned into a full-time position, which they offered me in 1998. So my last year of teaching, I was assistant coach of the high school baseball team and was teaching technology. And so as soon as my contract was out with the school for that year, I started with DixieNet. And we grew it quite a bit, from a small dial-up internet service that was operating when I came on, and I think it was in 5 cities. We took it statewide, and then we were the first to offer statewide 56K dial-up, which is kind of funny to think about now, but at the time, that was the main thing everybody wanted. You had to have 56K was the fast dial-up. So DixieNet had that statewide before anyone else did in Mississippi. And pretty soon after that, we formed our own phone company so that we could purchase the links needed to be an internet service provider. We purchased those at wholesale rates, and then in about 2000 or '01, we began offering telephone service to areas in North Mississippi. Still do that today. So we've seen quite an evolution of things, and I'm lucky to have been involved in all of that. It's a great company, and really enjoy all that technology, so had fun.
And you also build furniture,
I do.
patio furniture.
Piddle around a little bit in my backyard. I make furniture out of cedar. I'm hard on things, and we had bought some furniture off and on. And I just felt like outdoor furniture needs to be tough if it's going to be out in the weather. It needs to be durable, it needs to be sturdy. And so I make it all out of cedar so that decay's not, it's slowed way down. And it's a good solid piece of furniture, and we paint the cedar if you want it painted, or you can just set it out there. But I do make those chairs down in a shop in the backyard. We've got a little store that we rent space from in Madison, Mississippi, and a partner, me and another person are partnering on a booth in a new place opening in Okolona, and we'll put some furniture there. It's called the Honeybee, and so we'll be in Okolona starting right around the end of July. Is when they'll open, and the little place in Madison is called Simply Spaces. So we've got those two retail outlets and the website where people just make orders, and then a lot of word of mouth. For a long time, we didn't sell very much furniture in Tippah County at all. It was mostly when we'd go to trade shows or craft shows.
Nobody knew it.
Nobody knew, yeah.
Yeah.
We're just kind of stealthy. But anyway, word's getting out. We're selling more and more. So we're having a good year with the furniture as well.
And now, recently, you were elected mayor.
Took on the
Ripley.
mayor project, yes,
Yes.
for city of Ripley.
Yeah, that's a lot of changeover. You went from a school teacher to vice president at Dixie Debt.
Right.
And on to patio furniture. I think did both that at the same time.
Right.
And now you're the mayor. That's like Andy Griffin changing hats.
Right. Right.
I'm telling you.
Right.
Depending on what hat you got on.
That's right. So
And if someone in Tippah County is interested in the patio furniture, they have to go all the way down there to get it.
to Ripley?
Oh,
Oh, no. They can order it from me. They can
call it.
call us or
Yes.
go on our website, which is cm-cedarworks.com, or you can look us up on Facebook, and it's just CM Cedar Works. Just look us up on Facebook. So
What you do, you call City Hall and ask for
you
Chris.
can do that too.
That's how I get it.
That's right.
No problem.
You
No
can
problem.
catch hold of me somewhere.
But that, it just sells all over the country, doesn't
It does.
It really
We've got
does.
it.
That's amazing.
North
And
Carolina,
he
Tennessee.
actually has brought that furniture on the program before. You might remember him back when we first started, and brought some of it down here, and it is very sturdy. It's good furniture.
Well, thank you.
It's a lot better than what you just go out and, pick up. It's
Thank
something
you.
when you get it, it lasts.
That's
I
our
was-
goal.
I was impressed. Well, tell us, now that you've got elected mayor, life has changed.
Certainly has.
Yes.
Yes, it has.
Absolutely. So if we don't like stuff around, it's your fault, Chris. Anything
That's
we
right.
don't like,
That's
it's
right.
your fault.
I know, I
Your fault.
understand. I inherited a lot of things that
I imagine so. Imagine so.
good things, lots of good things. So we'll, if there is something, please let me know. We'll work as hard as we can, as quick as we can to take care of things. It's hard to keep up with everything that goes on, accidents wise, storms wise. Things happen. So currently we're a little behind because of the storm, which was just about a month ago. I guess it's a month ago it's on Monday. And I guess it put down about I don't know, 250 dump truck loads of brush, or possibly more, that people took a little while to get it cleaned up and get it out the curb, and then we've been picking it up, as quick as we can, a little bit along. I know there's still a couple places around, and if we've missed you, or if you think we've missed you, give us a call, and we'll get somebody out there and get it cleaned up. I know of several places that, like there's a tree down across from the Ford place that we're just waiting to get that up until we can get the right combination of saws and trucks together and get that picked up.
I noticed that the camera crew went out and filmed the board meeting.
Yes, they've
Yes,
been
they did.
Several
and
times.
It's been played,
Mm-hmm.
and I watched it, and I noticed that you preside over it so well. How'd you learn to do that?
Well, presiding over a meeting is something that I've picked up along the way. I've been on several boards of directors, various organizations, and have been fortunate to be president or chairman. And chairing a meeting is just following Robert's Rules of Order, and so it becomes pretty natural after you get some practice with
Well,
it.
you seemed, in control, really in control.
So the mayor's
really
job
did.
is to chair the meeting, and the people may or may not know, the mayor doesn't have a vote in the meetings unless there's a tie. So the mayor chairs the meeting and keeps the meeting on track and on schedule and in order. And,
Well, that's not really fair, because you're who we're mad at.
well,
Oh, that ain't
it's all
fair,
right.
is it?
That just
Not
goes with the
fair.
territory.
Not fair. Who are the aldermen, do you know?
I do.
I figured you did.
Ward 1 alderman is Joey Bryant. Ward 2 alderman is Homer Richardson. Ward 3 alderman is Jackie McKenzie. And Ward 4 alderman is Wade Crawford. And we have one alderman at large, Bonnie Cavanis.
What is that?
He is he represents, or can represent citizens' voices from any of the wards. So basically, he's a tiebreaker, or it's a fifth alderman, so that you're not set up to have an even split on things automatically. So you've got an alderman at large to keep that number of aldermen at an odd number, so that in the event of a disagreement or a split among the aldermen, you would have 5, so that it's more than likely going to split one way or the other. Fortunately, our city council almost always votes unanimously on things, so we're in great accord so far, and I think that's fairly historically been true. That we really try hard to conduct the business of the city in agreement with each other, and the aldermen are to be commended for that. They have
Yes.
also a great vision for the city.
Okay, we're going to have to break for a commercial,
Okay.
and we'll be right back. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Paying too much for phone service? Then it's time to switch to DixieNet, where you can get unlimited local calling for less than $25 a month. And that's an everyday low price, not a promotional price. With a DixieNet phone line, you can get unlimited local calling, call forwarding, call waiting, three-way calling, and caller ID. DixieNet, 800-918-9023. This program brought to you by Cardinal Drive-In.
Cardinal Drive-In, 1807 City Avenue North, Ripley. Cardinal Drive-In, 837-2970.
Magnolia State Family Medicine, Health Center and Medical Spa. Providing modern medicine with Southern hospitality. That's Magnolia State Family Medicine, 100% veteran-owned and operated. Bethel University Physician Assistant Program affiliated. Magnolia State Family Medicine. Dr. Christopher J. M. Cummins, Medical Doctor.
The 68th Annual Tippah County Fair, August 4th through the 11th. Admission is only $5 per person each night. Tuesday night is free for students, and armbands Tuesday night are only $10 per person. So come on out and enjoy some good family fun. For more information, call 837-8184. The 68th Annual Tippah County Fair, August 4th through the 11th.
If you or a loved one are in need of rehabilitation services or long-term care placement, then you should consider contacting Rest Haven Health and Rehab today by calling 837-3062. Rest Haven is a nursing facility where hands bring hearts together. Rest Haven has the right nurses that work in conjunction with local physicians to deliver the best possible care along with the right atmosphere for you and your loved ones. Rest Haven also provides therapy services daily in the right way by offering physical, occupational, and speech therapy. The right nursing staff along with the right atmosphere and the right therapy department equals Rest Haven Health and Rehab, located at 103 Cunningham Drive. Rest Haven has been committed to providing services to the people of Tippah County and the surrounding area for over 30 years and is proud to say that they continue to provide services in the right way for the right reasons. So please call 837-3062 today and let the staff of Rest Haven assist you. Again, call 837-3062.
Come visit your local Food Giant grocery store. We have a wide variety of meats, produce, and deli entrees, all at discount prices.
I'm glad you stayed with us. I am discussing the city of Ripley stuff with this guy that's supposed to know, because he's Chris Marsalis, the mayor at Ripley. Chris, you know, there's a lot of decisions and procedures to follow. Say somebody has a problem with their sewage or their neighbor's dog or something. Maybe they can't sleep at night for the dog barking, or and they call you.
They do, sure do.
Okay, you can't just run out there and shoot the dog. What do you do?
That's right, I can't.
I mean, you know, because
So-
how do you know what you can legally do and what you cannot? I
Well-
mean, you weren't a lawyer.
No, I've done, prior to running for mayor, I did some research as to exactly what the job entailed. And so the mayor is basically in charge of the daily operations of the city and is responsible for enforcement of the city's ordinances. And he does that through, his own communications and influence in the community, through also contacts through the Board of Aldermen, through the police department if necessary, through city workers, or through city associations. So, but it usually starts with a phone call to City Hall to speak to the mayor. In the case of if it's a problem with city infrastructure, water, sewer, gas, streets, garbage pickup, those things that the city's responsible for, typically if there's a problem, people will call City Hall and we'll create a work order to have the problem repaired. If it's a stopped up sewer line, if it's on the city, then we'll clean it out. If it's a water line that's broken on the city side of the meter, we'll fix that. Sometimes if there's a problem with the reading on a meter, water or gas meter, and the city will investigate. In the case of nuisance and destruction or things like that, neighbors need to speak to each other to try to resolve issues and differences as much as possible. Many of us have heard it said in recent years that things aren't like they used to be. We don't know who our neighbors are, and we're not
That's
as
right.
familiar with the people that live around us as we once were. And, we all understand that that is true, but
It's sad.
it's
isn't it?
sad, and it's
Yes.
something that we can all work towards undoing a little bit. So get to know your neighbors. That's good from security, comfort level, just knowing what's going on in your neighborhood, knowing who your people are, and helps us all to build a stronger community. But if you can't work something out, and we get a lot of dog calls, dogs barking at night, dog running loose, and of course if we have a dog catcher, an animal control officer, typically we'll receive a complaint, or the police department will receive a complaint of a dog that's loose, causing problems. Most of the problem that dogs cause is barking, getting in the garbage and making a mess, and in other ways making a mess of someone else's property. And so, the animal control officer will respond and try to catch them and notify the owner or whatever if it's a problem. But if it's dogs barking at night, we get complaints sometimes of neighbors' dogs' pen. It's not clean, and so the smell is bad, or something like that. And I would just encourage everyone to live by that golden rule and try to treat others as you want to be treated, and be respectful of your neighbors, and I think we'll work hard to get along. But the city has an ordinance about nuisances, and so anything that, and you can read it, it's all in legalese, but basically it says if you're doing things, or some animal that you're responsible for is causing problems, then you're in the wrong to allow that to go on, and you need to correct it, and hopefully you'll correct it. And if you can't correct it, or are unwilling to correct it, then the city can move on to more stringent actions, which we never want to do that. We want to work things out as much as we can. So.
Okay, as mayor, what are you planning on doing? What are you going to change?
Well, I don't know that I'm going to necessarily change things as much as cause things to happen that people have said they want to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So
Like the park?
the park would be one thing.
All right.
We've all been living in town long enough to have heard about the park for some years, and there's been a number of reasons why it hasn't been started until now, and those are all fine. But I felt like we had enough of a plan, and we had enough citizen support and voter support, taxpayer support, to go on and get started on this thing, and let's get it built. The alderman had taken great steps before the election, before I was elected, and it was underway and it was going, and so we were just down to the hard part, which is really working out the details and what's going to go where, and how much really can we spend, and really looking at how we're going to pay for this and that, and how we're going to manage it. So, kind of getting into those things, which are in my talent set. Operations is what I was doing at DixieNet. It's what Mayor is operations manager for the city, basically, and so those sorts of discussions I'm well familiar with, how to get to an end result, a product, and so we worked with the alderman and engineers, contractors, and we got to a set of items for the park that I think is going to be a great park. We didn't settle on anything. Everything that we had to take out of our dream wish list are things that can be added back on. if funding becomes available. You won't have to redo anything. You can just add to. So that's it took a lot of work to get things kind of scooched around to that. So it'll be a good park. Really happy to see it going. They started.
Where?
It's out 4 West. It's on the north side of the highway. It's inside the city limits. There's a big sign out in front of it that says Fred and Elizabeth Smith Memorial Park. There's a dirt access road that's been begun. There's dump trucks running up and down it right now. If you go out there, you might check it out on a Sunday when they're not working, because they've been rolling 7 days a week, quite a few hours during the day, 10, 12 hours a day, making this thing happen. So
What's going to be in the park?
we will have 6 baseball, softball fields and 2 soccer fields, and they'll all be lighted and irrigated, and we will have 3 concession stand / restroom building facilities. We will have a large maintenance shed, a control shed for the park workers, park management. They'll have their equipment in there, and the controls for the lighting and the irrigation will be in there. And
All right, I don't have a kid that plays ball. Why do I need a park? Why do
park-
I want to fund a park? Why do I want to pay taxes to pay for a park?
Those parks bring people to town. And if you don't have a child or a grandchild that plays ball now, maybe at one time you did, and you did trek around after them, and maybe you've been over to Boonville, you've been to New Albany to the games, and you understand that people go.
Yes.
If they've got a child or a grandchild that plays, then people are going to go. Well, when those people come to Ripley to those games, they're buying gas, and usually they're eating at a restaurant, or they're grabbing some Cokes at the convenience store. They're buying some odds and ends at Walmart that they may need for the day. Many times they're going to spend the night at one of our hotels. All those things raise tax dollars for the city of Ripley, sales tax, and for prepared food, and for hotels, the 2% tourism tax. And so those things, just from people coming to town to play in our park, help the city have more money to do things for Ripley.
Okay.
Streets, water, gas, cleaning up graffiti, other parks. Another reason why, if you don't have kids that play, why you might still be interested in having a park built, is recreational facilities is usually one of the first 2 items on the list of a company that's looking to relocate. When they evaluate a community, they look at the overall appearance of the community, just sort of a snapshot view. What does it look like? What sort of pride do people have in the community? You can tell that by the condition that their properties are kept in. Are they kept up? And they want to know about the recreational facilities. Does the city value the need for recreational facilities? And because if they're going to move a plant into town, they're going to have people that are probably going to move in with them. And those people more than likely have children. And so it all just kind of points to, what sort of a town is this? Is this a town that enjoys and prizes recreation and city-provided facilities? Or is this a town that says, well, we just don't really see the point in doing much of anything? So I believe that Ripley is the kind of place that wants to, we look around, we see Boonville and New Albany and Corinth, these cities that are at Holly Springs that are around us, and we may look in some of those cities and say, well, why can't Ripley do like this one did for this or that? And there's no reason that we can't. We just need to get organized and do it.
Now that leads to my next question that we'll get to right after this commercial.
Thank you.
Y'all stay with us.
This program brought to you by Cardinal Drive-In.
Cardinal Drive-In, 1807 City Avenue North, Ripley. Cardinal Drive-In, 837-2970.
Paying too much for phone service? Then it's time to switch to DixieNet, where you can get unlimited local calling for less than $25 a month. And that's an everyday low price, not a promotional price. But if you need high-speed internet, DixieNet also has DSL available that allows you to be on the phone and the internet at the same time. Bundle your service and give DixieNet a call at 800-918-9023 for all of your communication needs, or visit us online at www.dixienet.com. DixieNet, bringing the world to your hometown. Lifeline services available. Restrictions and setup fees apply. DixieNet, 800-918-9023. Magnolia State Family Medicine, Health Center and Medical Spa. Providing modern medicine with Southern hospitality. That's Magnolia State Family Medicine. 100% veteran-owned and operated. Bethel University Physician Assistant Program affiliated. Magnolia State Family Medicine. Dr. Christopher J. M. Cummins, Medical Doctor.
The 68th Annual Tippah County Fair, August 4th through the 11th. Admission is only $5 per person each night. Tuesday night is free for students, and armbands Tuesday night are only $10 per person. So come on out and enjoy some good family fun. For more information, call 837-8184. The 68th Annual Tippah County Fair, August 4th through the 11th.
Come visit your local Food Giant grocery store. We have a wide variety of meats, produce, and deli entrees, all at discount prices.
Welcome back. I am so glad you stayed with us. We're talking to Chris Marsalis. And now, if that name is not familiar to you, you need to get familiar with it, because if you live in Ripley, he's your mayor.
That's right.
No, seriously, somebody asked me the other day.
Uh-huh.
She said, well, I don't know that man. Said, is he a foreigner or something? I said, I don't think so.
No.
I said, I don't think so, you know.
Foreigner from South Mississippi.
That's right. You're a southern Mississippian.
That's right.
We got here quick as we could.
That's
What
right.
we're doing.
That's right.
I'm not from here either. But I came quick as I could get over
Sure,
here.
that's what.
Oh, wonderful place.
It
Wonderful
is.
place.
It's great.
Chris, what is being done to get jobs in Ripley? Now, not offered in Ripley.
I had a meeting today with owners of a plant that are looking to expand, and what the city can do is work through the Mississippi Development Authority to put together grants and low-interest loans that we can then use to expand facilities for existing businesses. So had a meeting today about that. Another project that the city had just completed, really, when I took office, was the Sika plant out there in the industrial park by the elementary school. And that project brought about 25 jobs to town, and that was a similar process that they went through, where the city purchased a building and then leases it to the business, and the business pledges to provide X amount of jobs. And those are good jobs. Those are fairly high-paying jobs, and they're technical oriented, and so there's room for advancement. And that plan is expanding into other operations, so room for advancement and expansion. Other things that we're doing is just trying to, in general, spruce up around town, make it look like we're maintaining things that are the city's responsibility. The city can't maintain private property, but the city can maintain its own property and its own responsibility and its right-of-ways, and so we're working very hard to keep those maintained. All of that leads to an attractiveness about the town that encourages visitors, and many of whom, there are a lot of people that come through town that have businesses that they could relocate. They've got businesses in other areas. People that don't live in Mississippi but who have relatives who live here in Ripley or Tippah County. And Ripley's our county seat and is a very often visited place in the world. And so whatever we can do to keep it looking like we expect company and we want folks to come in and look around, that will, it's kind of a background process, but that will drive retail development. People need good paying jobs, which a plant can provide. There are also good paying technical jobs at companies like DixieNet, and more companies around here that are more established are getting more of an information technology department, and so they're doing hiring for those higher quality jobs. We've got jobs in Tippah County for chemists and materials science experts, so there's a lot of opportunity in Tippah County currently. There are a lot of jobs that are available currently, and what we all need to work on is how to make ourselves qualified for advancement into those jobs, as well as doing everything that we can to help existing industries. If they need assistance from the city, we'll provide whatever sort of assistance that we can.
Do you give incentives?
Yes, there are incentives that can be worked out, and it really just depends on the needs of the business.
Do you have any buildings?
The city has currently no buildings vacant.
Well, have anywhere to put a job? What do we do?
Well, we build something,
Okay.
and if the city has one industrial park that the city controls inside the city limits over there by the elementary school. The city owns a little bit of land over there around the city shop. So the rest of the land is owned by private landowners or corporations. Mm-hmm. So if a project became available, a plant or a business needed something, they can come see us up at City Hall, and I've got contacts in MDA, I've got contacts in the state legislature, I've got a lot of avenues that we could follow to see what incentives might be available out there. Obviously, the county and the board of supervisors has powers to, offset taxes, property taxes. There's some incentives there. If you buy a historic property inside the downtown historic district, there are income tax credits that are available if you restore something down there according to the guidelines for the National Park Service, and those are available on a city's website. You can do some research there. Also, the state of Mississippi offers income tax credit for similar historic preservation activities. So there are a lot of incentives out there for investors who want to come and invest in a community. If they don't know what's available, and they're wondering, they can contact the mayor's office, and I'll be happy to, sit down with anybody who's interested, and we can just look and see what we can put together. A lot of times you can put 2 or 3 little packages together that complement each other. There's community development block grants. There's low-interest loan money available, from our local bank in some cases, and also from the Mississippi Development Authority, other state and federal-backed institutions that just what we need to know is what a business needs, and we can move on it. We'll absolutely work hard to get those in here and get those good jobs in here.
We need a well-paying job. They say our unemployment is down.
Yeah.
Everybody's got some job, but if you get a little part-time job and it's minimum wages and you got a couple of kids to feed, no way.
It's hard to
No
make a
way.
living on minimum
Just can't.
wage. If you've
Just
got
can't.
kids, we face this issue at DixieNet.
You better have a
Uh,
place, you better live next door to work and walk over and.
Childcare is
no money.
almost a
That's true.
minimum wage full-time job.
That's true. That's true. And it's really, when you think about it, it's really, it's tough times now.
It
And
is.
We need some good paying jobs in Tippah County. We really do. And that's, that when you talk to people, that's their main thing. Get jobs in here. All right. Another thing you mentioned was making the city look good. Do you have a lot of trouble with slum areas?
There are some areas that, for whatever reason, are not as spruced up looking as others. And, it's a difficult situation to ride in and pass judgment on somebody's property or living conditions. But I think we can all agree when we drive by and look at a place, if it needs cleaning up, we can agree that it needs cleaning up. And so the city is working on just enforcing the ordinance that we have about maintenance and upkeep of private property. Typically, that process begins with a complaint from a neighbor. House next to me is vacant. It burned out a few years ago.
Usually vacant, isn't it?
Something like that. Somebody's passed away and left it to somebody who doesn't live in town. Or there's a number of circumstances, but that's usually what it's about. And so it starts with a complaint. The city has to go through a process. We have to notify. First, we'll go out and look and see if it really,
Yeah.
if it needs it. And most of the time it does. And so then we've got a process. We'll set, at a board meeting, we'll set a public hearing date. And we'll send a letter to the property owner, if we can find them, send them a letter and say, under the city's maintenance and cleanup, maintenance and upkeep ordinance, we find that your property needs to be maintained. We'll have, you'll have an opportunity to speak at the next board meeting. We'll give a date, and then a lot of times they'll clean it up before that meeting, and then we can just say, okay, this is cleaned up, we move on. If they don't come or don't do anything, then we'll set a public hearing for the next board meeting. And then if there's any circumstances, if we get a hold of the owner and there's some reason that they need more time, usually, depends on the circumstances, but, the city wants to work with people as much as possible, give them all the time that they reasonably need to take care of things.
Mm-hmm.
And then if it doesn't get done, then usually at the public hearing, we'll grant another 30 days or sometimes a week or sometimes 2 weeks, or, just depends on the situation to get it done, or the city's going to take measures to do it. So that's all of that is called due process, which is something that government needs to offer to people. Plenty of notices and plenty of opportunity to solve the problem. The city's entitled to enforce its ordinances, and it needs to, the mayor's office needs to enforce the ordinances, so that's just part of that process. If the city ends up going in and cleaning it up, the cost of that cleanup, and if it's just mowing and bush hogging, or maybe as far as demolishing a structure and hauling it away, those costs will be added to as a tax lien against the property. So eventually, so it'll be on the next year's tax bill, which obviously that needs to be paid because the county tax collector is going to work on getting that collected.
If you want to keep the
If
property,
you want to keep the
gotta pay it.
property,
Yeah.
Or if
Okay.
you're going to sell it, the tax bill has to be settled. So the
Yeah.
city's not out any money
It does.
in the long run, but sometimes, you have to go slow doing these things because you may be 2 or 3 years getting the money back to clean up a property.
Well, if you go slow doing it, it gives the owner a chance to
Right.
get it done for you.
Really, everyone's
Nobody wants their property to fall apart, not
right.
really.
I
mean,
think that's true.
Not really, they don't. They,
Right.
sometimes it might be a bad circumstance, or
Right.
maybe they don't live here,
Right.
you
That's
know,
what
don't know.
happens. Right.
Don't know. So that's really, that's what I said, probably, I would think, which I don't know, but I would think it would be more, like you say, nobody lives there.
That's usually what it is.
If I
Typically,
live there, I want it to look decent, so
That's
I,
right.
That's where I live. Okay, I heard this little thing, and I don't know much about it. But it's been said that the zoning laws here at Ripley, the only place you can put a trailer house is out on Robertson Road. Is that right, and why?
there's a couple of other places.
Okay, we want to know where.
When the zoning ordinance was adopted in 94,
We want to know where. We want to know where.
so there's Welch Drive. There's a little loop off of Neighbors Drive, kind of before you get to Welch Drive. You got Smith Drive, and you've got Robertson Road.
It's where the trailer parks already
Trailer
were.
parks already
Okay.
exist.
Okay.
If there was a trailer park in existence when the thing was adopted, that's the only place where you can put one in now.
Okay, why?
The city's idea is that trailer houses, mobile homes, decrease in value about the same rate as a car. And so a city is typically more interested in higher value real estate, and people will get a better return on their investment with a non-mobile structure, a house that's built. Mobile homes they're not as durable, they don't last as long, and they're not as safe as traditional constructed housing. And, this is fairly common across the country. Mobile home zoning is done in an effort to keep those structures in certain areas.
Okay. Speaking of zoning, what used to be commercial is not necessarily anymore, is it? If you bought that property and you paid a lot of money of it because it was a commercial area, when they did change the zoning, and now it's residential, it's not worth as much.
Well, as far as I know, the zones haven't changed inside the city since there was a map that was created when that zoning ordinance was adopted, and that map has not changed since then. So if it was in commercial zone, then it's still in commercial zone. Now, whether or not it's being used for commercial purposes, property value is based on two things: what a buyer will pay and what an owner will sell for. And so when those two come together, you'll have a sale and you'll have a value. We've all seen the furor in the real estate market over the past couple of years, but as far as the value of your property, if it is a former home and it's in a commercial zone, it's not likely to be very useful to somebody who's going to open a big retail store. But it might be valuable to a law office or an accountancy firm, a smaller thing that could make use of that kind of building. So it all just kind of depends. But if it was commercial, if it was zoned commercially, when the ordinance went into effect, it's still commercial. Likewise, if it was zoned, there's
But
three.
some of these properties were sold way back, And people paid a lot for them, and they think that it's a commercial, and when they start to sell it, they find out it's not. You know, if you're buying property, you better call Jack.
You need to know what your zoning is, and there's a map up at City Hall, and I'm working on putting a map on the website so you can see.
Better check and be sure, because
Right.
now residential property doesn't bring as much as commercial, does it?
Just depends. It could. Just depends.
But depending on what you want to do with it, I guess.
Yeah, it depends on the
That's
size of the building. You know, there's some $300,000 houses in residential properties in Ripley, and there's some, $70,000 commercial properties in Ripley. It just depends on what's there and what you want, your intended purpose is.
Okay, a while back, before your time, they voted in a tourism tax.
Right?
I've been put up to this.
Okay.
So I just go ahead and wiggle around.
Oh,
All right,
fine.
can you explain to us what that is? Are we still paying it? Where did it go?
Yes.
I mean,
Okay. Well, here's what it is. It's an additional 2%. That's two pennies on every dollar that is paid in Ripley for prepared food, that's cooked food, or lodging, which is staying in a hotel.
so everybody that eats out pays this tax?
That's right.
Okay,
Whether you live in Ripley or don't live in Ripley, you pay that tax,
Pay
if,
that
you,
tax.
if you're eating in Ripley. Okay.
okay,
So it's 2%. So you can do the math. If it's 2 pennies on a dollar, then on $20 it'd be 40 pennies. So it's not a whole lot of money.
no,
Most of the but it does build up over time. So we all voted and passed it because the voters were told, and I voted for it, and obviously most people that voted for it because the revenue was going to be used to build a park. So the entire time that money comes in once a month from the state tax commission, and it's been put in a separate account in the city, and that money comes in. And it's just been building up this whole time. And so that was part of the money that we had for our budget for this new park out there, because that's what we said, the city said, we would do with it. And over the course of the time that it's been collected, it had collected right around $750,000. And it continues to collect about $20,000 a month.
that's a lot of pennies.
That's a lot of pennies.
Yeah, it is, a lot of pennies.
And it's not a huge burden on any one of us. A lot of that money comes in because of visitors to town on First Monday weekend, because they eat at the restaurants. When they stop and eat at a restaurant on the way in or on the way out. A lot of them, will, and it's the also the convenience stores that sell, chicken and biscuit and JoJo's and all that stuff, they also charge that. So that is a way, although it's true Ripley people and Tippah County people do pay that tax, also we're getting help, the city's getting help to do that from everybody that eats in Ripley. So that was the reason that it was put in. It was a way for the city to raise money to put into recreation, promotion of the downtown and of Ripley as a tourism development. Tourism means get people from out of town to come to your town and spend some money. And so we all benefit when that happens. And that drives up property values, that makes everything go.
So you're telling us that if I go spend $10 for supper, that's 20 cents?
Right. 20 cents. You probably got that.
I leave more tip than that.
Right. And you
Yeah.
probably got it dangling in your
Yeah.
couch cushions or in the
Oh,
floorboard of
you
your
do.
car.
You do.
It's not a very big burden on.
But it
on
does
us.
add up and
It
help
does
with this
add up
park.
over the years.
And the majority of the people in Ripley want the park.
I heard that over and over when I was campaigning.
Uh-huh.
Build this park, build this park. And when we had the town hall meeting at the Ripley High School auditorium, we heard, that was one of the questions that kept coming up. When are we going to build this park? When can we start on it? And think all the aldermen heard that, and certainly all the mayoral candidates heard that. And so we felt
Absolutely.
pretty strongly to go and get this thing built.
You know, people that don't
Excuse me.
have children that play ball, I think had a harder time understanding what you need with the park, because we
Right.
don't go to ball games.
I understand.
But if it's a money-making, I just thought it was the craziest thing I ever heard in my life. And I got to doing interviews with these candidates. And when I realized it's a money-making thing
It
for
is.
the city,
It is.
you know, actually, could it not actually keep from having to raise land taxes? You know?
Yes.
Yeah, I
It
mean,
could,
you know, because the
absolutely.
money's got to come from somewhere.
That's right. The city has to operate, and it takes money to operate. So the city's got just a couple of ways to what we think
Mm-hmm.
of as make money,
Yes,
and that's through taxes and revenues. And so
yeah, city's got to, yeah, you
'cause
can't run on the air.
We do want our streets paved, and
Yes.
you know, we want the crews to come by and pick up the trash.
I
And
do.
you know,
I do.
if your water line breaks in the middle of the night, you know, want somebody to come out and try to work on it as quick as
Mm-hmm.
possible. You know, if your pilot light goes out, you need somebody to run by and light it for you. You want us to be able to do that, and it takes money.
Do they still do that?
They will, yeah.
Really?
Our guys will do
Isn't
that.
that neat?
Yeah.
Isn't that neat? Okay. Does Ripley have a noise ordinance?
Yes.
Okay, tell me about these kids that drive up to a
With the-
convenience
yeah, with
store,
the
turn
cars,
the
yeah.
radio on,
Yeah.
open the door, get out and go in the store,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that you can hear this obnoxious junk you don't wanna
It's an
hear.
issue, and
Yes.
that loud music is in violation of the ordinance.
Yes,
And enforcement is
difficult.
it's difficult because it's real easy to turn it down and act like nothing happened. So if the police witness it and they feel like it's being really obnoxious, then they can and have issued citations for that.
Well, Chris, it sounds like you're off to a good start as the Ripley mayor. We here at TV 19 wish you the very best.
Well, thank you.
We
Appreciate
truly
it.
do.
Appreciate you having us on.
Our time is gone. I appreciate you coming. This is our mayor at Ripley, Chris Marsalis.
Thank you.
We've enjoyed this hour together. Don't forget the Jeter Family Program, Saturday night at 7 o'clock. I do hope you'll tune us in again next Monday at 7 for Daryl's Little Corner. May God bless.